This video is going to be me sitting down with you like two friends chatting over coffee, telling you all the things that I wish I knew when I first got started in my web design business over 10 years ago at this point. I have learned so much, from starting as a solopreneur to building a small team to scaling that back and scaling it up again to having a kid and trying to navigate motherhood with being a business owner. There's been a lot that's happened over the last 10 years, and I'm really proud of where my business is at today. These are just some of the most important things I've learned, and I'm gonna knock them out one by one, and let me know in the comments if you found any of these to be helpful. Or maybe there's a lesson that I missed in this video that you wanna share. Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you are new to being a web designer, or if you are somebody who's been doing this for a little while and you're struggling to find clients, I am linking a free guide below to help you get your first or next client in 30 days or less. When I look back to baby Galen, who started this business almost 12 years ago at this point, and I'm going through my mind, like thinking what I was thinking back then, I don't think I realized how much time was actually going to be spent in my email inbox. I had these grand visions of building beautiful websites and brands and solving complex design problems. But so much of what we actually do as designers is communication. There's not a day that goes by where I don't wake up and check my email and have somewhere between 2 and 15 different emails from clients or just people who need things from me. And that can feel like a lot of pressure at times. There's nothing wrong with that. It's kind of par for the course, but I think it's important to set boundaries around when you answer emails to make sure that you're not constantly being distracted. Turn off your notifications. You're going to see those little email notifications pop up on your computer there, and they're going to pull you away from whatever you are doing and make it so that you are constantly task switching. The best thing that I've done is just sort of time blocked my days and my weeks. So I have certain days dedicated to client meetings, certain days dedicated to client work. That really helps me balance my schedule. And then I have certain blocks of time where I dedicate an hour here, 30 minutes there to checking and responding to emails. Now, when you do this, I think it's also really important to set expectations with your clients. So for a while there, and I actually need to update this, I have in my footer that my response time for emails is somewhere between 1 to 2 business days, just so clients aren't expecting a response within 30 minutes. Because that happens sometimes. When you start to see these emails piling up in your inbox, it can feel really stressful and overwhelming. And you just have to remind yourself, we're not heart surgeons. What we're doing typically is not very urgent. And it's more important that you prioritize the deep work in your business, the important work in your business. You still stay on top of your communication, but you're just setting the right systems and boundaries around it so that it doesn't take over your life. The next thing I wish I could go back and tell myself is that you will get negative feedback, and that's totally okay. It's 100% normal. If you're anything like me, maybe you're a bit of a people pleaser. I see you. And it is really hard, sometimes even soul crushing, to get negative feedback about something that you've worked really hard on and presented to the client, and they just shoot it down. Anytime I get negative feedback from a client, I always find it's important to approach it with curiosity instead of with ego. When I first present a design to the client, I want to make it really easy for them to provide me with constructive feedback. I don't tell them, here's the finished version of your homepage or your website. I hope you love it. Instead, I approach it as, here is a draft of the homepage. Maybe it's about 60 to 70% of the way completed, and I welcome feedback. I want to encourage feedback from them. And 90% of the time, I actually find that when clients give me feedback and I incorporate that feedback and I work with them with my strategic background and their eye for their own business, the end result is almost always better. The other thing I find is that when clients are providing feedback, they almost always are taking the design that I show them at face value. They're not designers. They don't realize how quick and easy it is to change a font, or how simple it is to swap around the colors a little bit. They get really fixated on everything as a whole, and they can't really zoom in and see the different details they like and maybe some things they'd like to change. I feel like they tend to see things a little bit more black and white. They either love everything or it's just not what they're looking for, when in reality, there's probably a lot of things that they do like about the design, but they're unable to see those things because they're so distracted by the few tiny things that aren't really hitting the mark for them. When you do get negative feedback, think about how you can ask constructive questions to get to the bottom of where these hesitations are coming from. You might need to hop on a call with them and go through specifics and screen share and point out different things, and maybe even make some changes with them live on the call, or maybe it's just a few small tweaks that you can make over email and send over a new version that they can review and get back to you. Either way, don't take it too personally and don't let it derail your confidence, because it happens to everyone. The next thing that I've learned over the years is that sales calls aren't really about selling. I am not a salesperson at heart. I don't really love the idea of being like a used car salesman or feeling sleazy on sales calls with clients, but I absolutely love getting on a call with a client before we decide to work together, because it helps me decide if I want to work with this client just as much as it helps the client decide if I'm the right fit for them. It also helps me really get an idea of what direction they want the project to go, what results they want to see from the project, and just a little bit of background on their business. I also love that on a call, I can get an idea of the inflection in their voice when they talk about something. I can hear the excitement in their tone. This is all really important to me as I'm making notes about the project and what I want to see for this client. I have another video all about sales calls that I will link up here. You should definitely go check that one out. But one of my best tips for sales calls is to flush out the bare bones details of the project so you can give them a good idea of a quote that you're going to send over afterwards. But figure out what that project is looking like. Get excited with the client about the potential outcomes of this project. What is it going to look like? Get excited. Pretend that you are already on their team. You two are already working together and you're kind of talking through the details and letting them walk you through some ideas that they've had. It's now becoming a shared vision between you and the client, even if they haven't signed on to work with you yet. This is also a great time to maybe inject a little bit of strategy, show the client that you know what you're talking about, maybe add in some ideas for them. Approach things as if you're both on the same team working towards a common goal. This helps the client to feel like they're already bonded with you and excited about the direction of the project, and they're gonna feel like they've already started down the process with you. It'll make it harder for them to go with another designer and make you seem like the more obvious choice. Also, be confident when you're talking about your pricing, because you should be confident. Speaking of pricing, it's really important to consider all of the work behind the scenes that goes into a project that you do not bill for. And even if you're not directly billing for those things, you want to keep them in mind when you're setting your prices. You might think to yourself, I can do a basic website in a day. There are 5 days in a week. That means I can get 5 websites done in a week. If I charge $1,000 a website, that's $5,000 a week or $20,000 a month, which is a pretty great income. But what you don't take into consideration are all of the emails that you're sending back and forth, the sales calls that you're getting on, the behind the scenes of setting everything up for the website, getting the copy from the client, getting images from the client, and everything from helping them launch their website, collecting testimonials, offboarding. There is so much more that goes into a project than just the actual design phase. And if you're not accounting for that time when you set your prices, you're really doing yourself a disservice. You're probably not trying to design 5 websites in a week, let's hope, and that you're also probably charging more than $1,000 per website. But this was just an example to kind of illustrate how easy it is to only think about the time that goes into the designing of the website and not thinking about the time that goes into everything else you need to run your business, like marketing, for example. That takes us into the next thing I want to talk about, which is you must make time for marketing. Marketing is not optional. This one seems obvious, but it's actually really easy when you get busy with client work to forget that you need to market your business to get more client work. Create systems, set schedules, Make time every single week, even if it's just 30 minutes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday that you set aside to create a few Instagram stories, write an email newsletter, connect with past clients. You need to make the time and you need to build it into your calendar or it won't happen. Let me tell you, if you do not make time for marketing now, you will have a lot of time for marketing soon when you have 0 clients in your pipeline. Also, sometimes the best marketing strategies aren't the flashy ones. They're not growing your Instagram following to 10,000 people. They are connecting with past clients and building great referral relationships. Maybe it's taking part in some good old-fashioned local networking where you go out to some events and shake hands. Maybe it's just following up with past leads who weren't ready 6 months ago but might be looking for a new website now. Successful marketing isn't always going to look a certain way for everyone. Just because your stories aren't getting any engagement or your reels aren't getting any likes doesn't mean people aren't actually consuming your content. There's a lot of lurkers out there. You know, the people who just consume your content but never actually raise their hand to say hi and introduce themselves. That is until they're actually ready to reach out and book with you. Keep those silent followers in mind when you are having trouble showing up, when you feel like no one's there and no one's listening. Stay consistent. In a world where social media can make us feel like there are millions of other designers out there doing the exact same things as we do, and maybe even doing it better than us, it can be really overwhelming. But I want to remind you that there will always be designers out there better than you, but your clients, they don't need the best designer in the world. They just need somebody who can help them solve their problem. They need somebody who can translate their needs into a beautiful website. They need somebody who can communicate with them and resonate with them, and you sound like the perfect fit to me. Block out the competition, put those blinders on, and stay focused on your own work and getting better each and every day. And just because somebody is a talented designer doesn't actually mean that they have a successful business. You have to have both design skills and business skills to make it work. When you do find a client that you're really excited about and you love the work that you've done for them, make sure that you ask for a testimonial. There's that age-old saying that the best time to do something was yesterday and the second best time is today. That's also true for asking for a testimonial. Yes, it may have been 6 months since you finished that project, but ask for the testimonial. I recommend asking for a testimonial when you're right in that post-launch phase and clients are super excited about getting their brand new site live. They're more likely to have that experience with you top of mind and have a really positive association with it, and you want to take advantage of that. I use a Notion database and form to ask for testimonials, and that way it's just a quick and easy link that I can send to my clients. It takes them to the form, they fill it out. I have a few questions that I ask that I find get really great responses from my clients, and then it all gets entered into a Notion database where I can sort it or search through it and find the testimonials that I need based on what I'm trying to use them for. If you want access to my Notion database template for all my testimonials, as well as the questionnaire form that I send to all my past clients, I'm going to include that in the description below. You can sign up and get access for free. I'm going to leave you with one of the most important lessons I've learned as a business owner in general, and this applies whether you're a web designer or really any other kind of business owner. There will be times when you feel lost, when you feel stuck. You're not sure which direction to go, and some of you might be thinking that this is only reserved for the early days of your business, but I assure you, this pops up at random times throughout your business journey. I have experienced this multiple times myself over the last 12 years. You just hit a rocky point where maybe you want to pivot or maybe you want to change things and you just have no idea how. And sometimes, at least for me, I felt so defeated in the past that I thought about giving up altogether because I'm just not sure which direction to head in. And it feels like if I go the wrong way, I'm going to be wasting all of this time and then I'm going to have to backtrack and start over. And so you just feel stuck and then you end up in this world of analysis paralysis where you don't make any decisions at all. This is where one of my favorite sayings come in, and that is action leads to clarity. If you're feeling stuck and like all these ideas are popping into your head and you're not sure which one to choose or which one's going to be the right answer that takes you where you want to go in your business, you just have to pick a direction and get started. You can always pivot later, but the key is to not stand still. The more you take action, the more you put one metaphorical foot in front of the other and just start moving forward in one direction, you will get that clarity. It will come to you, but it only comes with the action. Progress is better than perfection every single time. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you're struggling with most in your website design business right now. I can almost guarantee you're doing better than you think. See you next time.